Welcome back to the podcast. Due to technical difficulties, we could not make a podcast episode last week, which sucked.
Well, we started a podcast.
Okay, this time, it was not my fault. Can you admit it was not my fault?
I mean, it is your podcast.
But it was the computer's fault. It wasn't me. Because, so, for context, we probably had the greatest...
It was the greatest half of a podcast we've ever done, and no one will ever get to hear it. So we'll just have to do better this time.
Yeah, my software crashed, and yeah, well, so
we have a ton to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, which should make this podcast episode even better than the last one. Anyway, starting off with the World Cup. You know, we're not going to get into all of the countries and all of the scores. We're here to talk about the USA. Okay?
Well, if it wasn't for the US of A, I wouldn't care about the rest of the World Cup. Because It's soccer. And soccer stinks. But
soccer sucks. Games can end at 0-0.
Yeah. And people are happy about it.
Yeah.
No. Love America. World Cup is okay to watch. Outside of that, soccer is horrendous. So I think the last podcast, the U.S. had tied Wales 1-1, which, again, Wales the size of New Jersey. Horrible display.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next game, they come back against England, who should beat them.
Which I just want to say, that's like England coming into the U.S. and tying the U.S., like tying Georgia or
You mean like
the Rams
in football?
In American football or football.
Don't call it American football.
Or football.
It's football.
Football.
So they tied England 0-0. Everyone's ecstatic over a 0-0 tie. Yay, US of A. And then they ended up winning their last game against, I think it was Iran. So they got into the knockout round, the final 16, and then they just got obliterated by Netherlands, which I think is smaller than the size of New Jersey.
Yeah, probably.
That game wasn't even close. They got pummeled. So the U.S. is out, and I don't care about the rest of the World Cup. I have no idea.
I mean, I'm just going to wait till the championship or whatever they call it happens. And whoever wins, bravo. Good job. I don't care.
It's a big deal. Football, it's a big deal.
Football. It's called soccer. Okay.
It is called soccer. And it's a horrible sport.
Yeah, it sucks. Back to a good sport. Man, college football. All right, so us as Ohio State fans, we were not happy, okay? We were not happy about the loss against Michigan. We lost 45-23, and we thought that's it. That's it. Our playoff chances are gone. USC is going to win. TCU is going to win. We're done. That's not what happened. TCU goes on to lose next week against Kansas State, 31-28, which they're still in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. But the big one is USC losing. 47-24 against Utah. I just want to thank Utah for a second. We beat them in the Rose Bowl, and they got Ohio State into the playoffs.
It's been a whirlwind of emotions for Buckeye fans. As you said, the loss to Michigan, which I was at that game. That was a bad game. Ohio State should have been up about probably like 24-3 in the first half of that game. They drive right down the field on the first possession, score a touchdown, make it look easy. They hold Michigan to a field goal. They drive, get the ball back, drive right down the field again, and couldn't punch it in. Ended up with the field goal to go up 10-3, and then it just went downhill from there. They legit could have been up 24-3 in the first half, and that game would have been over. If the game was played between the 30-yard lines, they dominate that game. They just could not score when they got the ball in the red zone. And then you could just feel it. You could feel the energy in the stadium. Knowing that they should have been up more than they were in the second quarter, you could tell they were not going to win that game even in the second quarter. And then Michigan came out and just kind of exerted their will in the second half and was the more physical team. I think honestly Ohio State played okay. The score doesn't indicate that. But Michigan really had 4 huge plays, right? And then they had 2 like 75-yard runs in the last 5-6 minutes, which makes that score look worse than it was. But Ryan Day can't win the big game. Play calling is still questionable. All the questions going into that game are still questions. But to your point, they need to be thanking Utah, and they've got a second life, and now they go play Georgia.
Yeah, so Georgia got the number 1 seed, Michigan got the number 2, TCU got number 3, and Ohio State got number 4, which means Ohio State is playing Georgia in the Peach Bowl, and Michigan and TCU are playing each other in the Fiesta Bowl, right?
That's right. Ohio State playing Georgia in Atlanta. It's going to be a tough game. Georgia is good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll preview the game in a couple weeks. We've got like 3 weeks before the game, but yeah, complete craziness and chaos in college football the last couple weeks. I did not think Utah was going to beat USC again. USC's been on a roll. Caleb Williams is playing out of his mind. I'm actually really surprised that Utah was able to beat them a second time. And then TCU losing. It's like a cat with 9 lives, man. They've been living dangerously all year. I think I heard something today actually. Like 8 of their wins have been 1-score games. They've had multiple comebacks where it looked like they were going to lose. So it was just a matter of time before they lost. But I'm glad they got in.
They deserved it.
They deserve to get in. All the Alabama whiners complaining that they didn't get in. You had 2 losses. And Nick Saban's argument that they played 2 really good teams close, that was his biggest argument.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Horrible argument. They didn't beat anybody good all year. Their best win was against Texas, who I don't even think is in the top 25
Which they
anymore.
should have lost that game, too.
They should have. So Alabama and their fans whining that they should be in. Give me a break.
All right. On to the NFL. Since we missed last week, we're not going to cover it. We're not going to go too far back in time. Our predictions, if you want to see them.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Hold on.
What?
Forgot.
Oh, yeah.
My Drew Timmy update. Drew Timmy has played 4 games since our last podcast. They played over Thanksgiving weekend in a tournament, and they went 2-1. And then they actually played last night. And Drew Timmy last night, 29 points, 17 rebounds.
Dang.
Phenomenal. On the year, he's averaging like 21 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah.
He's a machine.
I don't know how one guy is that good.
It's the mustache.
But he doesn't have it. He has the beard.
The mustache is under the beard. It's there.
It's always there.
It's always there.
All right. Now, on to the NFL. Again, we're not going to cover last week. If you do want to see our predictions, they're up on the Smart and Smarter podcast Instagram. So if you want to go check those out. Yeah. Tom Brady leads an amazing comeback. I don't know if I want to call it amazing. It was unlikely.
Unlikely is a great word for it. Unlikely.
Beating the Saints 17-16. Tom Brady now has the record for most fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history.
Well, I mean, dude, when you're like 92 years old and still playing quarterback, you're probably going to break every record there is.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, he's my age.
Yeah, I know. Why aren't you playing football?
In my mind, I am.
Okay.
I do. I play Tecmo Bowl on my phone.
Okay.
I've won like 23 Super Bowls, by the way.
You could be doing that in real life. Colts got destroyed by the Cowboys. This game was close in the third quarter. And going into the fourth quarter, it was very close. And I don't know what happened. But the Colts crumbled. Score sucks. This was the game of the week, definitely. Chiefs vs. Bengals.
Wow, that was a great game.
It was an amazing game.
Joe Burrow.
Do you think that the Chiefs are still like 100% going to make the Super Bowl? Because that's what it felt like all season.
I've never felt that they were 100%. You got a team called the Buffalo Bills that they have to beat to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they haven't been playing that well.
I know, but I mean, I never thought the Chiefs were guaranteed the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are a fantastic football team. One loss doesn't change that. A road loss against a good Bengals team definitely doesn't change that. It's a great game. Joe Burrow now has beaten the Chiefs and Mahomes 3 times in a row. And I think 3 times in the last year.
He's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes.
Because didn't they play in the regular season last year?
They played in the regular season, then the playoffs, then this year.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
The Seahawks beat the Rams, and we're going to talk about the Rams in a second. The Dolphins lose to the 49ers. Tua looked terrible for the first time this season.
Tua looked bad. Tua definitely looked bad. That's a bad loss. I won't say it's a bad loss for the Dolphins.
The game was closer than the score. The game ended 33-17. They got a last-minute defensive touchdown to ice the game and score.
Look, they play a really good 49ers team. So it's not a bad loss, but it's a bad loss from a playoff perspective because now they're a game behind the Bills. In that game, Jimmy G broke his foot.
Yeah, he's out for the season. They have come out and said he can possibly come back for the playoffs, which they're going to make the playoffs. So we'll have to see if he comes back then. But until then...
Are you sure they're making the playoffs with Brock Purdy?
They got to get like 2 more wins. Do you think Brock Purdy can get 2 more wins? He beat the Dolphins.
I wouldn't say Brock Purdy beat the Dolphins.
He
was very serviceable when he came in.
There you go.
They're going to have to ride Christian McCaffrey the rest of the year, man.
Then Christian McCaffrey's going to get hurt. Then they're going to have to use Deebo Samuel how they used him last year. So, which they got far in the playoffs last year. So, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean, if Jimmy G doesn't come back, I don't see them going far in the playoffs this year.
All the other games were kind of meh. Like, these were not very good matchups. But the Panthers, all right, they release Baker Mayfield.
Shocking.
Very shocking.
I mean, Baker wasn't the answer in Carolina.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Baker wasn't the savior for a football team.
Do you know how bad Baker Mayfield is? He got replaced by an XFL quarterback, PJ Walker, and then gets released.
Don't get me started on my tangent of how bad Baker Mayfield is.
Well, but do you think it was bad for the Rams to sign him?
I mean, look, Matt Stafford's out the rest of the year. They need a quarterback, I guess, even though you're not going anywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, is it bad for them to sign him? No, but I don't really understand it unless they're looking in the future, which is laughable that you would even consider Baker Mayfield to be your starting quarterback moving forward. I don't really understand the signing. I thought he would go somewhere like San Francisco.
I feel like that's what we all thought.
I mean, San Francisco could have plugged him in and let him be a game manager just like Jimmy G was and just said, Baker, don't go out and make mistakes. And I think they'd have been in a much better position than with Brock Purdy. So that surprised me that the 49ers did not sign him. I guess it surprises me a little bit that the Rams did. I don't really understand the signing, but now he can go ruin another franchise.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's obligated. Every time we talk about Baker Mayfield, you have to say one phrase. Say it.
I mean,
Say it.
all of our listeners already know what I'm going to say.
Say it.
It's hot garbage. Absolute, 100%, stinky, smelly, hot garbage.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Or for the dozenth time.
For the 50th time that you've said it. Anyway, should we go into picks? Do we got anything else to talk about? I don't think so.
I don't think so. The only other thing we could talk about is the Ravens almost lost to the Broncos. Lamar Jackson got hurt.
I think it's absolutely hilarious that it just Russell Wilson can't beat Tyler Huntley.
Russell Wilson threw for 189 total yards. So if you're Baltimore now, what's Jackson out a couple weeks?
They said 1 to 3 weeks.
Okay. I mean, look, he still hasn't signed a contract.
No.
So does this help his case or hurt his case? I mean, he hasn't had the best year. He's had a good year. He hasn't had the best year. Does this help his argument that he should be the highest paid quarterback with guaranteed? Or because he's gotten hurt and had a down year, does it go against that argument? I don't know.
He's gotten hurt the past 2 years, this year and last season. And I don't know, maybe that's what they were looking at last season. They don't know if he's going to be as good as he once was with an injury. Because again, he's a scrambler. That's all he does. If he can't run, what else does he really have? And yes, he can throw the ball, but throwing is not his main strength.
Yeah, he's an athlete. I mean, he can throw the ball, but his legs. It's going to be interesting, I think, over the next couple weeks to see. I mean, look, if Tyler Huntley goes out and wins a couple games, I don't think that looks good for Lamar. I think it hurts his cause for a big contract.
And I think that's what happened again last season. Tyler Huntley came in, and I think he had to be like 2-3 games at most. But
I mean, but on the other end, if they crash and burn over the next couple weeks, then I think he can say, look, you can't do it without me, right?
Yeah.
You got to have me. So the only other thing we got to mention for the NFL, welcome back to Deshaun Watson.
Woo! He sucked in that game.
I mean, look, dude, he hadn't played for 2 years.
I know, but he sucked. Nah, he was pretty bad.
I didn't watch a lot of the game.
He did not at all help that Browns team beat the Texans. And I know it's the Texans and they're not hard to beat, but I don't know. The defense won them that, having 3 touchdowns.
It's the rest of the year for Deshaun is going to be interesting to see how well he plays. They're in a better position with him than Jacoby Brissett. But
I don't think they're in that playoff run at all, like delusional Browns fans think.
They have to go on a heater.
Yeah, I think they have to win every game, I'm pretty sure.
All right, we're doing picks.
Let's do picks. Thursday Night Football. We've got Raiders versus Rams. The Raiders have actually kind of turned it around a little bit. I think they're, 5-7?
They are 5-7.
The Rams are terrible.
I mean, if the Raiders weren't gross in September,
they would,
they'd be in a pretty good spot right now. I think the Raiders win.
I think the Raiders win too. The Rams are just in such a bad position. Lions and Vikings.
Another team on a heater is the Lions, man.
Yeah.
Vikings are going to win that game.
Yeah, the Vikings are 10-2. And I think they already clinched a playoff spot. I believe they did.
Well, because everyone in the West is awful. So I'm sure both them and Philly have claimed.
Everyone in the NFC North too sucks. I think no one else can win that division. So yeah, I think.
Oh, did I say everyone in the West and everyone in the NFC? Yeah, you said
everyone in the West.
I meant NFC.
Steelers and Ravens. With Lamar, I would say Ravens, but I don't know.
I still think I think Baltimore wins that game.
I'll go the Ravens.
I think it's gonna be a gross, disgusting defensive game, like 20-17 score. But I'm gonna pick Baltimore.
All right. Bears, nope. Browns and Bengals. How well do you think Deshaun Watson plays?
I'm calling Deshaun Watson and the Browns to upset the Bengals.
Okay, after a big win last week, the Bengals getting that huge win.
Yeah, the Bengals let down after the Kansas City game, and Deshaun, with a week under his belt, I think he plays much better and gets him a win.
I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I know the whole slump thing happened to the Vikings against the Cowboys, losing 40-3 after winning against the Bills, but I don't know. I just don't think it happens with another team again. Bills versus Jets. I think the Bills run away with this game, especially after losing to the Jets once already.
The Jets stink. The Jets have stunk all year, and the Bills are going to pound them.
Texans and Cowboys. I don't think the Texans will get another win all season.
I think the Cowboys could run out Troy Aikman at this point in time and win this game against the Texans.
I don't even think they need a quarterback to beat the Texans.
It's going to be ugly.
So we're both saying Cowboys. Eagles and Giants. Man.
The Giants stink.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants have stunk all year.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles.
Yeah. Jaguars and Titans. That's hard. I don't know. I think Titans.
Titans are playing well. I'm going with the Titans.
Chiefs and Broncos. No. Chiefs.
The Chiefs are going to be angry. The Broncos can't score points. This game gets out of hand. Chiefs.
Panthers versus Seahawks. With the loss of Baker Mayfield, I don't know how much that affects the Panthers because he didn't start. So it doesn't affect them at all. Seahawks anyway, no matter what.
I want to say the Panthers are going to be so relieved to have that cancer out of their locker room and they have a new perspective on the season. However, I have to pick Seattle in this game.
The game of the week, according to Fox or whatever, Buccaneers versus 49ers.
I think with Jimmy G, this would have been a really good game, and I would have picked the Niners, but I'm going to have to go with the Bucs.
I'm going to have to go with Buccaneers, too. I know that the 49ers defense is really good, and the Buccaneers offense hasn't been amazing, but, you know, it's the Buccaneers. It's Tom Brady. Dolphins versus Chargers. No. I know what you're going to say, but I don't want to hear it, okay? The Dolphins are going to win this game, and they're going on a tear.
Where's it at?
I think it's at SoFi. Yeah, it's at SoFi.
That only means one thing.
No.
San Diego Chargers, baby.
No.
Yep.
No. That's just not right.
Mark it down. Chargers.
No. Monday Night Football, we've got Cardinals and Patriots. I don't even... The 4-8 Cardinals.
I don't know why you hate Justin Herbert so bad, by the way.
I'm a Justin Herbert hater.
I mean, look.
Herbert.
He's got... I'm looking at stats right now. Tua versus Herbert. And I know Tua hasn't played...
better in every stat, of course.
No. Tua's got 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Justin has 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Justin Herbert's QBR is 56.6, which I don't hate QBR stat, but everyone else loves it. Tua's actually 77. Justin Herbert's a great quarterback.
I'm just hearing that Tua is better than Justin Herbert.
Oh, who are you hearing this from?
You. The stats say it all. Besides passing yards, the stats say it all. Because Tua didn't play for a couple games. Anyway, Patriots versus Cardinals. 6-6 Patriots versus 4-8 Cardinals. I think the Cardinals come out and win.
Man, the Cardinals have perplexed me all year.
They're just too star-studded to only win 6 games this season.
They should be better. I'm going to be honest, New England perplexes me too because I don't know how they're 6-6. I don't think they're that good of a team. I'm picking the Cardinals. To me, that's a coin flip. I'm going with the Cardinals.
All right, I'll go with the Cardinals too. And I think that's it for this episode of the podcast.
One day, we're going to figure out what our standings are for our picks.
Well, on Instagram, I'm going to start posting all of our predictions so you can have them on record. So then we'll figure it out from there.
Yeah, where the hell's that been all year?
That's a good question.
It's your podcast.
Our podcast.
So it would have been a great idea like 2.5 months ago.
See now, but who thought of it in the first place? This guy.
Fair enough.
Alright, we'll see you in the next one.